Welcome back to the Building HVAC Science podcast. You know, it's our goal here to create better, more knowledgeable HVAC and building performance technicians by helping these two professions better understand each other. And this podcast aims to make customers happy in the homes and buildings they live in and work in. A lot of what we do comes from interactions from the community we work in. And this episode is so much about community. Eric and I get a chance to interview our colleagues from TruTech, Josh Crawley, Sue Birch, and Billy Spohn. We're going to talk about the great week we had at the HVACR Training Symposium and AHR Expo in Florida. We talk about products that were showcased at AHR, Testo's new thermal imagers, Inficon's D-TEK Pro leak detector, NAVAC's latest digital manifold. Man, there are a lot of products there. We also got a chance to see a new product from a smaller company called EEV Mate, an electronic expansion valve tool. It was a great thing to see. That was at our table at the HVACR Training Symposium. We also reflect on growing educational community initiatives such as the GRIT Foundation and Better HVAC. Things that we didn't talk about in the podcast were the third U.S. Heat Pump Summit that's coming up in November in Massachusetts. There's a link in the show notes for that. And our friends at Work Hero ran a survey in conjunction with the HVACR school to look at the day-to-day realities of running a small HVAC business. The survey results are in a link that's in the show notes. You might want to take a look there. There were 1,300 respondents for that. A lot of great information you can glean from that. We also did a visit to Second Chance University. That's in a discussion in the podcast. Got a link to Danny Hoffman and his family there at the Second Chance University, also in the show notes. The HVAC Tactical Awards, there's a link to that. And then if you missed the training symposium, you can still sign up for $29 and get access to all the sessions on video. And I believe we also talk about the High-Performance Hangout that was coordinated by NCI. And NCI's got their summit, which would be the place to be this fall. And we got the link to the NCI summit also in the show notes. So a lot of links in the show notes. Go ahead and get real click happy and see what's going on there. But listen into the podcast first.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Building HVAC Science podcast. Eric here, Mr. Bill Spohn over there. We've got a big show today. There is 5 people on my screen today, which is kind of unusual for us. But hey, we're all here. This is the TruTech wrap-up and thoughts on the HVACR Training Symposium, as well as AHR, which we had people, both of them took place in early February in sunny, warm Orlando, Florida. I think there might have been some sunburn had while we were down there by a couple of us. What do you think, Bill? Was it warm?
It was nice and warm. We got a mix of weather. There was some rain, there was some clouds, there was some wind, but just a beautiful event. Glad it was outdoors and thankful for the weather that kept us outdoors and didn't force us indoors.
Yeah, at least for Symposium. It was very nice to be outdoors. AHR, it's a little big to have outdoors, I think.
It is. Yeah, there's no parking lot big enough.
Yeah, that would be a big parking lot. We could have had it out on the runway.
Lots of things happening on runways lately that I don't want to talk about.
Fair enough.
You mentioned our panel here today, the TruTech team that attended all these events and got a chance to visit with customers and vendors, all kinds of interactions for about a week. So I'm going to ask everyone to just go around and introduce themselves. And the way they appear on the screen is Josh Crawley, Bill Spohn Jr., and Sue Birch. We'll just go in that order. Josh, introduce yourself.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'm Josh Crawley, sales manager for TruTech Tools. Happy to be here.
This is your first symposium and multiple times you've been at AHR?
This is my second AHR. Was not at the symposium. And last time I was at AHR was when it was in New York City at the Javits Center with that massive snowstorm like 7-8 years ago. This was a little bit different compared to that.
Billy, how about your travel log journey?
Billy Spohn, marketing manager at TruTech Tools. Just had a great time, honestly. I've been to several symposiums. I think we missed one being the COVID year, but subsequently I think we missed a AHR. But I love going to the symposium. I love going to AHR, both community building events. I think AHR is, for me, it's not always just business meetings or seeing vendors and stuff. It's seeing the people who work at these companies and seeing people who we know from the symposium at that show. So that's always great.
And Sue, give us your intro.
Well, hi, this is Sue Birch. Very happy to be here. I've now been with TruTech now for 2 years, and I've been blessed to actually attend both AHRs the 2 years I've been here. So last year in Chicago and this year in Orlando. Very different weather. And then I also was fortunate enough to attend the Symposium this year, which was absolutely an amazing event for someone who had very little industry knowledge going into it. Just a fantastic time attending the different sessions that I was able to attend and just getting to meet people face to face that I've been watching podcasts of or YouTube videos of. So an AHR is always a pleasure. I've been to many trade shows at different industries that are similar, but I do have to say the HVAC community is very unique and just a joy to work with.
What was your quote, Sue, for the Symposium and AHR?
They're a bunch of...
Oh, they're very, very affectionate people. They like to hug.
Yes.
Which is also unique. But hey, I'm adjusting.
We're a friendly bunch.
You are.
There were some special events smattered in there. I just want to bring those up. One of them was a visit that we made to Second Chance University. That's Danny Hoffman, who was on the podcast a little while ago. Wanted to have us talk about that, and also the HVAC Tactical Awards. So we did a little bit of divide and conquer because there's so much going on, and that's why we sent such a big team. Who would like to talk about Second Chance?
I'd be happy to. I was really, really impressed with what Danny and his wife and his stepson is doing down there. It's not a huge facility by any means, but they're really positively impacting people's lives. And the fact that they've put together the entire curriculum themselves, but they actually take these individuals that don't have experience at all in the industry and get them to a place in 6 weeks that makes them marketable in entry-level HVAC positions is just amazing. So much so that I've asked to please be gifted with one of their curriculum books so that I can try to get up to speed.
And you've been doing a lot of YouTube watching, I know that. Who are you watching to learn about HVAC this last year, months?
Obviously, a lot of HVAC school. I watch that. I watch Craig a lot. I'm watching Ty now a lot. There's just so many really good people. I've actually watched NAVAC is now at NAVAC, but had a channel previously.
Oh, Andrew Greaves.
Andrew Greaves. I've watched several of Andrew Greaves' older YouTube videos as well. So my stream, just thumbnails keep popping up of people maybe I don't even know, and I'll start watching them.
So we're keeping you occupied?
Yes.
You got a chance to go with Billy to the HVAC Tactical. Give us a little overview of that, and then Billy, you can fill in some details.
Yeah, that was an amazing address for which I felt underdressed, even though I thought I was dressing up. So it truly is a red carpet event. It was held at SeaWorld, which is just an amazing facility in and of itself. They did just an outstanding job with everything from the live interviews and things that were going on before the actual awards to the awards presentations themselves. I kind of knew what to expect only because I had looked at a little bit online, but it really exceeded all the expectations I had for how well they would put it on, and just very professionally done. A lot of amazing individuals. The Lifetime Achievement Award was also very inspirational, is how they ended the event. And that was very, very good to watch.
It was Dan Holohan?
Yes.
Yeah, and if I'll just add to that, Ben Poole has been working hard at the HVAC Tactical for a while, and I think it's really starting to hit its stride, and this big event, the Social Media Awards, is the culmination of that. And his sidekick, Efren, who I just enjoy talking to that guy. He's always full of energy and just very positive man. But it's always nice to see these people get the recognition that they may not get just in general for their work and dedication to showing people what they do and showing potentially new people in the trade, like, you can achieve these types of things and make a good career and also have fun with it. I think a lot of these people do it for the fun of it.
Any notable speech or part of a speech or person that you saw up there?
There was a lot going on that week, but there was not one that stuck out to me as not good. So I'll just say that. Yeah.
Sue, anyone that struck you as?
I would agree with Billy. They were all really, really good. All were very humble and honored. Every recipient almost seemed surprised that they won, given how strong each category was. So that was really nice to see, because they were lifting each other up even as they were doing their own acceptance speeches. So just really inspirational.
And it's also nice to see some of the people that we talk to on a regular basis get nominated. And
Any of those people, you want to shout them out? Names? Tim DeStasio won an award.
Tim DeStasio won an award. HVAC Time, Holden Schamberger, he was nominated for, I think, 2 awards. And some other people were nominated. And years past, other people had won, like HVAC Uncensored, Gil Cavey. Craig Migliaccio won last year, I believe, for Educator.
Jennifer
Manzo, she presented an award this year.
Ty presented an award this year.
Ty Branneman was presented and won year past. So
Brett Wetzel won an award this year. He's actually the first 2-time winner in 2 different categories.
Brett does a lot, and he does a lot with refrigeration, which I'm not so up to speed on. But again, that's a YouTube channel and a podcast to start listening to.
So I started saying this thing at these 2 events where, like, I met a lot of people online. Sometimes they've been on the podcast or just seen their videos or whatever. And I'll go up to them and say, either you look taller or shorter in person than you do. And Holden Schamberger blew me away.
I told him, you are way taller than I thought you would be. And I think he chuckled and didn't take offense to that. So it was good.
Holden Schamberger is one person that's made me feel a little short.
That's an accomplishment. So give Josh a chance to chime in. You spent all your time down in Florida at the Expo, pretty much. So tell us about your experiences.
Yeah, I got into town on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. I went straight from the airport to the Animal House where Chris Hughes, trying to think of some of the other people, Bill helped me out, some of the names I had met.
Bill Graber, Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Doug Kroll.
I won't forget Doug Kroll because those ribs were absolutely amazing. But getting to the house, it was really neat. Wasn't sure what to expect, but I walked in. We had the Super Bowl going on one screen, and we had the HVAC Tactical Awards going on the other screen. And guess which one had more attention?
Tactical.
The Tactical Awards.
Tactical Awards had a lot.
It was just really cool seeing everybody around the table, around a monitor. The Bluetooth speaker was broadcasting the Tactical Awards, not the Super Bowl. And everybody was rooting for their friends. And as Sue said, there's a lot of love in the community. You could see in everybody's expressions when somebody would win an award. They really felt positive for them. We finished the night there and then headed over to the AHR convention the following day. And I'm sure we'll get into that. But it's a lot of walking and a lot of interesting stuff.
Eric, you were around there too for a whole week.
I was. Whole week down in Florida. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time at the Symposium. That is always an excellent event. Being at a new venue this year was a little bit different. It was a lot bigger. There were a lot more people. And our tables were busy pretty much the entire time. We ended up with maybe 10 or 15 minutes of continuous time a couple of times where there wasn't somebody stopping by, talking, doing something, wanting to ask about whatever we were doing, what tools we had, all kinds of stuff, which was a lot of fun. It was very busy. And I think I ended up going into it one class. I went in and watched Rachel and Dirk's combustion class, which was...
You went to 2 because you presented one.
I did present one as well, yeah, which I got rained on during that class when it wasn't raining outside. So it was a double whammy. I did a class on using a selection process for pretty much selecting anything. While I was up there, we got a demonstration in psychrometrics when the inside of the roof started condensing and it was raining down all over the stage. 2 of the events were in tents this year, which were in previous years, the main stage has been in a tent and the other 2 stages were inside Brian's warehouses at Kalos, where this year the main stage was indoors and the second and third stage were actually outdoors in tents. But I think they sold 600 tickets for that this time or close to it.
Much larger attendance. And if anyone's listening and they did not get a chance to attend, or if you did get a chance to attend, you get a free pass to watch all the videos that have been recorded. And if you didn't, it's $29. So we'll put a link in the show notes where you can go. But it's basically HVACR school. And you look under their events and you'll find the 6th annual symposium. We're very proud to be the marquee or the top sponsor for it this year. It's kind of an honor to have that and feel like we're doing as much as we can to support it. One of my big interactions at the symposium was with Atlee Dykes, who's a 13-year-old young man who is totally into HVAC technical troubleshooting, system operation, et cetera. He started watching Chris Stevens' videos a couple years ago, and just totally by chance made it to last year's symposium. And his mind continues to grow, just his heart's into doing this work. And always fun to see him interact with them. I just saw yesterday he got a little skill cat, interviewed him at the symposium. And one of the points of the interview was that he had just a few days, like a week before, had received his EPA 608 online with SkillCat.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat platform. And Atlee was all over the place there. He was having fun and interacting with a lot of people and a lot of the booths. I was really impressed to see all the stuff Kalos brought out there, and especially Roman Baugh, who's now with Kalos. He had a number of their trainers out there. He even brought his compressor cutter out, which if you didn't get a chance to walk over and see that, he has a rotary compressor cutter so they can cut apart hermetically sealed compressor shells without putting any more debris inside the compressor to really diagnose internally why that compressor failed. And that is a really neat thing to be able to do. So many other great sessions. I'm just glad they recorded them so I can go back and watch later.
Some industry icons were there. Corbett Lunsford, I consider him an icon now. He was at a table next to ours and he brought his steampunk airflow diagnostics system. I hope someone got a picture of that so you can understand why I get that steampunk vibe. And Gary Nelson and John Tooley both were there to give presentations and meet with people. And a lot of people were blown away by those icons from the building performance side of things and the diagnostic testing.
How about this old house?
Oh, yeah, Ross Trethui.
Ross Trethui was there as well, yep. And we can't forget Bill Spohn.
That's true. Michael Jordan.
Were you on a panel or did you do a...
I did a panel. I was invited by Shelby Brager of Conduit, the AI-enabled load calculation program, Conduit Tech, and on a panel with Michael Hausch, Greg Kula, and Jason Julian, and myself to talk about embracing technology. Did any of you there see how that started?
Missed it.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just leave it at that. That'll just be a little mystery for those who did. But I did a little special thing as it started. We'll let that lie and just leave that out there as a mystery in case you didn't see it.
Now I got to put that on my list of things to watch.
Do you think that made it to the recorded session?
I don't know. I haven't checked yet.
I was 5 minutes late for that session. Now I'm wondering what I missed.
Yeah, it was only like about a minute long, maybe 30 seconds.
Put an Easter egg in there.
Yes. It was a cool panel. I brought up the perspective of the technology the contractor leaves behind with the consumer and how they have to manage it and be aware of the attributes and the maintenance and things like that, just to bring it full circle, sort of like full life cycle application of technology beyond just in your business, in your diagnostics, but what you install and what you leave for the consumer. That was my main point there. Why don't we give like an overview? Billy, thanks for starting the notes here. We've all contributed to, at least verbally, some of the different products and things that we saw. Who wants to go through that hit list and things that were outstanding and interesting and some follow-up that you'll see from us?
I can run through it. Just starting off, I think we started off the day on Monday visiting Inficon. Inficon was also at the symposium. They have a new D-TEK Pro. So if you're familiar with the D-TEK Stratus, D-TEK Select, and probably another model, this D-TEK Pro is going to be the super refrigerant leak detector that trumps all leak detectors for the most part.
At least in this class. I mean, it comes from their high-end vacuum technology for semiconductor manufacturing.
Right. And this is going to be more targeted to commercial supermarket applications, but it's just a very sleek device, very small, but very powerful.
Worth mentioning, they're going to the moon.
Yes.
That's true. Yes. With some other type of product. Which,
Correct.
Spectrometer, am I right?
Mass spectrometer.
Mass spectrometer, yeah. Lord knows what that does. I don't know what that does. But so Malco was recently acquired by a larger company called Aspen Pumps Group, I believe. And they are now under an umbrella of other different brands. And it's nice to meet their people there and get a rundown of what all they can offer now. And I really think that the Malco brand will flourish under this new structure. There's also, under that brand, there's a brand called Unilight, which I think Sue really liked because she found some lights that she could use for biking, which sounds great.
Just saying. Multiple applications.
Right. And just several other products. And One interesting tool that I think has been available in the UK for a while, but not so available in the US is a tube straightening tool. I think we've gotten a lot of requests for that even back when we were at Turkeyfoot being TruTech's old location. We were getting requests for that, but I think it'll be finally available here in the US.
Josh, you saw some products too, right?
Yeah, one of the first things we did when we got to the show, when the rope drop, was visited Testo. I was really impressed to see their new line of thermal. They have 3 new cameras that seem pretty reasonably priced. They got some decent performance, and they have a 4th model, which is a cell phone model. It clamps onto your phone. In the past, Testo's always had really good cameras. Their price points have not been the same as others. They've not been the most competitive, but it was nice to see that they have some new models coming out at some lower price points that still have higher resolution. And I talk about something that's going to flourish. I think with Brent Lambert now with Testo behind the thermal line, I think we're going to see some good things from them. I'm not sure if those cameras are out yet. I think they're going to be released. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think the only one that's not out is the clamp-on camera.
The 860i.
Yeah, it's going to be the 860i.
So there's no display on it. It talks to your phone.
Via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, I believe.
Yeah.
I think you said Wi-Fi was better for resolution.
Yeah, you have to have the Wi-Fi to transmit the really high resolution images over to your phone. But basically that device makes a Wi-Fi hotspot and then you connect your phone to it.
Cool.
And then I will say one other product that I saw was the new 558S, the new manifold that they have. Touchscreen manifold, color. It's beautiful. It's a step up from the monochromatic one that they had for years. So I'm excited to get my hands on one of those and play around with those.
Sue, being a newbie, what struck you in terms of products?
We visited nearly 24 of our partners, and many of those have multiple brands within that. So it was a lot of walking. My Fitbit told me I had over 8 miles both days of AHR. So that was a win in and of itself. But certain partners like Diversitech and some of the new stuff they're coming out with under some of their brands like Hillmore and Speed Clean, Cool Jet, right? The lightweight backpack cleaner. So there was just a lot of really cool stuff. Our friends at NAVAC were both at the Symposium and at AHR, and they actually gave away to all of the participants at the Symposium, all the technicians at the Symposium, as well as Tactical Awards, their new manifold, digital manifold, which people seem super excited about. And it's kind of a blend between old school and new school. And maybe I'm way off base on that statement, but that's the way I took it, knowing nothing. So that was my take on that.
Yeah, if I could just add, NAVAC is coming out with a slew of new products, different vacuum pumps, manifolds, condensate pumps, you name it. Some other interesting things, and I think Eric Kaiser can talk more about it, but we invited EEV Mate to be at our booth at the HVAC School Symposium. I really like that we invite these smaller brands or something like that to share our booth and display their work, because typically they're very interesting products like the EEV Mate. They're new and gets a lot of people excited about something new coming out that'll really help them do their work.
Yeah, Eric, could you cover the backstory on that?
Yeah, so the EEV Mate, it's the brainchild of Kevin Mate. And what it does, it's a handheld electronic controller for EEVs, or electronic expansion valves. And he's also now branched out into making expansion valve magnets. So for those of you, which is a lot now, that are working with electronic expansion valves, this is a pretty cool tool, or a set of tools that will allow you to manipulate electronic expansion valves manually in the field to test them, or maybe put them into a position if you have a power head that's bad, do a bunch of different things with that. And we're actually going to be bringing those on here at TruTech. They should be in stock, I think, by the time this episode releases. We should have some in stock or shortly thereafter, which is pretty cool. Keep an eye out for those. Look up, again, EEV Mate, M-A-T-E.
I just want to also mention a couple things from Appion that were pretty cool. It was nice to see the new Appion TES 6 brushless vacuum pump that came out, and then they have the new WS130 scale. So it was nice to see some innovation there.
That scale was neat looking.
Yeah, it was.
Sort of looked like a TrueFlow grid whenever I saw it.
It was alien looking. I mean, like had this
Interesting.
in small.
It looks like a spider web,
Yes.
and it's going to be a 130-pound scale, but it's really lightweight because they took a lot of the mass out of it by making it this spider web looking piece. And it's supposed to be really accurate down to very low amounts as well.
Yeah, to grams is what they told me.
Yeah, 1 gram resolution.
Yeah, I think it's got a 1 gram resolution, which is important for all the people doing the work with like your R290 or hydrocarbon refrigerants, where they're literally having to charge those systems in grams.
Just running through a few other quick ones. Yellow Jacket has a new Y core removal tool, so it's might be able to help me out here, but it's a vacuum tree with a core removal tool built into it, and I think that's pretty cool, pretty unique. Fieldpiece is releasing a analog manifold, and they're also releasing a A2L and A3 combined leak detector. JB is adding or really finishing out or rounding out their climate class probes, and they're releasing their climate class manometers. Nice display, everything like that.
How about the High-Performance Hangout?
That was pretty cool.
It's all these big things happened, and it's like one of us has to remind the other that it actually happened. Then we're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Josh, you got a reaction there.
That was great, just being in the room and seeing you got so many people, influencers, and so many other people who really, really are passionate about the industry. You could feel it, and everybody really had something different to bring to the table. And when I left, I really felt I was overwhelmed with the care that everybody has for the betterment of the HVAC industry. And it did make me realize that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Not that things are a mess, but to continue to improve the industry. We've got our work cut out for us, but it makes me feel good seeing that there's so many people that are working together collaboratively to continue to improve things and make our HVAC industry better. That was a really nice event. I'm glad we went, and it was good mingling with people. And I love how Chris Hughes forced people to go out and interact and mingle. And it was almost like after so many minutes, he would say, all right, switch up. Time to shake it up, go to somebody else. But the forced interactions were nice, and everybody was doing that. So it's a good takeaway for me.
I'd just add the types of conversations you have there are different than you would have at a trade show booth, something like that. And the one question that or conversation that stuck out to me is somebody asked me, how does TruTech Tools evaluate and decide on adding products to our store? And I just went through our philosophy, which boils down to unique and hard to find items. So while we carry items that are readily available across the country, but things like the EEV Mate, like that's pretty unique and hard to find. And I think we excel in that, and we take things seriously whenever we add products because people really do look to us for validation that a tool is going to be worth their while and worth their money.
Got to give credit to NCI for being the nucleation point for the High-Performance Hangout, for all the vendors that were there. I'll put a list of the vendors in the show notes. Really want to give them credit because it's like a pickup game. There isn't like anything driving this to happen except the people's passion bringing it together. TEC was there. Who are some of the other sponsors?
Measure Quick.
Yep.
Fieldpiece.
Daikin.
Kevin Hart with Haven.
Sauerman.
Absolutely.
It was a nice mix.
And if people don't realize that part of the AHR Expo are these training sessions, these technical sessions that happen during the show week, the 3 days of the show, as well as some committee meetings happen during that week and also the weekend before as part of ASHRAE. But I think the list of very relevant trainings that happen is growing quite a bit. David Richardson did one. Ben Lipscomb from NCI, Ben and David are both from NCI, and Adam Muffich, NCI. They all did presentations and had pretty packed rooms, as I saw on social media.
It's something I stuck around an extra day at AHR, and Rachel and I left Wednesday early afternoon. So you guys missed this. But on Wednesday morning, when we walked into the convention center, the first thing that we ran into when we got into the main hallway was David Richardson and Nicole Bush from AHR Expo leading a whole group of high school students around and talking to them about the industry and the events. And we ran into Ty Branneman, had another group going around with him. They were over at the NAVAC booth having a whole bunch of fun with some flaring tools and bending copper and all kinds of stuff. And that was really neat to see some of the young people getting involved and getting shown that side of the industry, because it's really a side of the industry that a lot of people don't get to see. Maybe we hear about it on social media or on the internet or through an email or something, but don't necessarily get to go and see that. It's a spectacle. I like to describe it as you and 60,000 of your closest friends.
Yeah. That sort of leads into the Grit Foundation. Who wants to talk about that?
I'll be happy to take that one. So Brian Orr and his wife, and actually she's the executive director, Leilani, just what they're doing to introduce young people to the fact that there are other good options other than only a college education. Certainly not banging on college educations. I have one myself, but looking at that 12-year-old age group and letting them know that there is really just some really exciting stuff going on, and how they're introducing them to so many areas of the trades through their foundation in these one-day, I guess for lack of a better word, semi-classes or mini classes, exposing them to different things. And Ty is part of that as well. And it's just pretty exciting because it's nothing, I think back to me at that age, and I just can't think of anything that even would have come close to that same experience.
Yeah, and also Rushir Shah with SkillCAD is also part of that.
Absolutely.
I'll throw a link to the video, the introductory video that was done about a week before Symposium that Rushir, Ty, Brian, and Leilani got together to describe that, and a link to the foundation. And we have plans, I would say pretty solid plans. Sue, go ahead.
We're just waiting. I'm sure they got a lot of people, just like I went up and said, hey, here's my business card. We'd love to host something here in the Akron-Canton area in conjunction with Chad Simpson, who has a nice facility that would be perfect for a group of folks to come to. So the ball's in their court, but we're very much looking forward to hosting one and being volunteers to assist and exposing it to some young folks here in Northeast Ohio.
Wow, we exhausted our brains here.
My brain was exhausted on Wednesday coming home.
My body was exhausted.
Yeah.
We'll do a wrap up here. I'll go around the horn. Josh, Eric, Sue, Billy, and then myself. Give a closing thought here to those two back-to-back events.
While I didn't attend the symposium in person, I did purchase a virtual ticket and watched every session as it was being broadcast between my work. And I will say, whether you're in person or virtual, you can feel the energy at the symposium. You can feel how connected people are, and watching people co-present and work together to share information is just fabulous. And then there's just always good things, good positive comments about the symposium. So get down there next year. But I'm really glad that I did attend virtually. And then as far as AHR, it was nice to go back. It's a great refresher to get out, see not only all the new products, but then to see the people who are out there on the floor making videos, sharing information to try to, again, make our industry better. So I'm very happy that I went. Very nice spending the week with you all, and looking forward to next year.
Thanks, Josh. Eric.
Man, final thoughts. Go out and have some fun. Get to know some people in the industry. I find this industry amazingly fun, and I know not everybody does, but one of the things to me that makes it really fun is getting to know new people, getting to meet new people, going to some of these events. And, well, I was at the first symposium, and I've attended or presented every year. And things like that, find some local groups, find some local people that you can hang out with, and really have fun in the trade. It's a fun, rewarding industry if we get deep into it, in my opinion.
Thank you. Sue?
I would say it was the most energy-packed week of my professional career. Not only did I get to spend and share a house with all these lovely people that are on this podcast today, but also Rachel, Eric's wife, who is adjacent to the industry, but incredibly knowledgeable. She also presented at the symposium, which I was fortunate enough to sit through that presentation as well. Just everything about it. It was informational. It was fun. It was high energy. For a week long, to think that you're going to be gone for an entire week through a weekend, what's that going to look like? I couldn't have imagined how good it would be and how fun it was. So thank you, everyone, for allowing me to come. I appreciate it. And I look forward to many more years, hopefully of both.
Fantastic. Bill?
Yeah, just building off a couple of things that you guys said. I do want to give a shout out to the rest of the TruTech team for holding down the fort, because I believe 20 to 25% of the company was in Florida for these events, not actually working. So really happy to have a good team around us that can keep the ship running. As far as the symposium, something that stuck out to me is that people want to be there. They aren't being really forced to be there. They want to go learn. They want to go meet people. They want to build community. They want to see new stuff. They want to learn new stuff. So that's always very good. And then Brian Orr, I believe he said this in one of his remarks throughout the symposium, is we, not necessarily meaning me, I'm not a technician, but HVAC industry gets to do this work. You don't have to do this work. So take that for what you will, but I think that's a powerful statement. You don't have to do HVAC. You are blessed to do HVAC. And then as far as AHR, it's a grand spectacle. It's the biggest event in the HVAC industry, but it's just everything in one spot. You don't have to go look through thousands of online websites to go see these people. You just have to walk, like Sue said, about 8 miles a day, and then you'll be good.
The HVACR, AHR Expo and cardio event.
Yeah, they working out a lot of people, yeah.
Wearing out shoes since I don't know when.
Like 1939, I think.
That's a lot of shoes.
It was my 35th year at the AHR Expo, going to that.
Wow. We should have had a big party.
We'll do it at 36.
All right.
Nice multiple of number. And the 6th year at the symposium for me. I missed 1 year at the COVID year, but Eric Preston did go to represent TruTech that year when COVID was active. My summary thoughts, community, building community. I got a chance to give a little introductory speech since we were the main sponsor of the event. Brian let me on the stage for about 3.5 minutes. I think somebody timed me, but I wanted to keep it brief. And I also did want to tie in what Kevin Hart and I are working on, Better HVAC. It's been established as a nonprofit now. We've got some momentum going. If you go look at the website, don't be too critical. It's not totally ready right now as of February 19th, but likely by the time you hear this, it's going to be in a lot better shape. BetterHVAC.org. The principles of Better HVAC are just the same as a symposium. Learn continuously, do ethically, and share openly. And when you do share, keep in mind that something old hat to you may be new to someone else. So approach this with that amount of grace that they're not totally where you're at when you're trying to explain, teach, educate, and move somebody along. I love that spirit. And Eric Kaiser here is one of the moderators on HVAC School. And you are really good traffic cops on keeping the discussion very positive. So thank you for doing that and one of your many volunteer activities in the trade.
We try. Some days it's challenging.
With that, we'll give everybody back their time here. And thank you for listening to this podcast with the TruTech team. And Billy, very thoughtful mention of the rest of the TruTech team, the 80% that did not attend the event that kept things running and operating. Well, shout out to you. Thank you for allowing us to do this, to connect with the industry and bring things back that we can all work on for the next year and beyond. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Really appreciate you listening to this podcast. If you have any questions or want to suggest a topic, you can reach out to us at marketing@TruTechTools.com, TruTechTools.com. Hey, I got a new mic. Why don't you leave a message or get in touch with us and let us know if it made a difference in my new microphone? I just want to see. I can't tell just by talking, but you can let me know. If you go to our podcast page, buildinghvacscience.com, you can click on the microphone and even leave a comment. That mic is in the lower right-hand corner. The Building HVAC Science podcast is a production of TruTech Tools Limited. Full disclosure, I'm the owner of TruTech. And the opinions expressed are those of my guests, my co-host, or myself, depending on who's speaking, of course. And if you're in the market for tools or test instruments, take a look at TruTech Tools, TruTechTools.com. You can use the offer code HVACBS for a nice discount. I want to thank you for listening and following us on Building HVAC Science. Please click subscribe so you won't miss any episodes. I hope you enjoyed this episode on Tools, Tech, and Community, the AHR Expo and HVAC Symposium Debrief with the team from TruTech. Until next time, take care.